Welcome back to Geo for Good. It is so wonderful to see all of you in person again after so many years apart. It's been great seeing so many familiar faces and reconnecting, and also great to see so many new folks here as well today. We are going to dig into the meat of this morning. So I'm Matt. I'm the engineering lead for the products that you'll be hearing about over the course of the day.
And I'm Viswanadha. I am the UX design manager for the same products.
As Rebecca mentioned this morning, this is, as we all know, really a pivotal moment for the planet. And in order to rise to this moment, it's going to take all of us. It's going to take a global village. Rebecca talked about the amazing different communities that are represented here today, from the sciences and academia, nonprofits and civil society, indigenous and local communities from around the world, governments and the public sector, and our growing private sector and community of companies. We're really excited to be doing what we can to enable all of you to do the work that you do, which is really what inspires us. That's where the rubber meets the road. So we're going to be diving into those products today.
All right, next slide. All right, as many organizations are stepping up to meet the urgency of this moment and are looking for tools to help them plan and act, we are building a product portfolio that's a combination of powerful, flexible geospatial data platforms and targeted solutions that leverage Google's unique capabilities. We believe that data, insights, and tools that enable science-based and data-driven analysis, planning, decision-making, and actions are important and critical to get to better outcomes for all. When our teams present product updates in a few minutes here, you will notice a theme around how valuable your input is. Your stories are what inspire us. Your experience using our products, your workflows are what help us choose our areas of focus and what we want to build next. And your generous feedback actually means that it makes our products more usable and better for the entire community.
So over the course of the morning, you're going to hear about several different products and the newest updates, and that's going to start with Google Earth, which is our flagship tool for you to access Google's rich 3D model of the world. It's really designed as a no-code tool for everyone to be able to use to access that model and to bring in your own data, your own information, organize your own activities on top of the map to support things like local planning and action and advocacy. So whether you're trying to green the energy grid of your city or plan a water reclamation project, you heard this morning from Rebecca many examples of people from this community using Google Earth in these kinds of applications. This story began with the desktop application that is currently known as Earth Pro. And millions of people around the world, including many of you, are still using that desktop tool. You'll hear today about a few new features that we've added. But really, the desktop tool was just the beginning of this story.
Very long journey indeed. And that includes us updating Google Earth and bringing it to more modern platforms on web, iOS, and Android. What I'm most excited about in all the updates that the team is sharing is the work that they're doing to lay the foundations for product experience and user interface, where we can actually start to bring more advanced workflows, more professional use cases to our more modern platforms. And guess what? All of you will be able to try hands-on our latest builds in both like a storytelling context as well as field data collection context. So over the next few days, just look for the sessions that will enable you to try, like I said, the latest build of Google Earth hands-on.
So while we're talking about map making, we also have to talk about My Maps, which is our lightweight tool for anyone to easily create, share, and publish maps on the web. You're going to hear today about some new features that we've added to My Maps, including what is, I believe, consistently the top most requested feature from this community over the years. So thank you all for that feedback. You're going to hear about that from the very next speaker, so I'm not going to spoil their fun by divulging the details. But stay tuned for that. And after that, we're going to dive into Earth Engine. So Earth Engine, as you probably know, is Google's planetary scale platform for geospatial data science and analysis. And this really grew out of this amazing community, building on the lessons that we heard from you working with Google Earth going back 13, 15 years ago. So when we added the historical imagery feature to Google Earth, we found people around the world in places like the Brazilian Amazon using that feature to see change on the surface of the planet and talk about the change that they were seeing and advocate for better response. But we also heard more and more feedback about how this community needed not only that visual capability, but also an analytical capability to do quantitative assessment of what was happening, to bring the best algorithms from the scientific community to bear on the massive growing flood of scientific data that was becoming available. And so all of that input is what led us to build Google Earth Engine. Many of you in this room have been power users with us on that whole journey, doing amazing work and supporting your own communities. And it's really grown to be the largest single topic area of the Geo for Good conference over these years. So as you heard this morning, there are many topics touching on different aspects of Earth Engine throughout the week, but you'll hear some of the latest news first here this morning. And as Rebecca also mentioned, one of the things that we're really excited about now is we've reached the end of what's been a long journey to make it possible for private sector users, operational public sector users, to have an enterprise-grade, commercially available platform that's integrated deeply with Google Cloud. So this was also in response to feedback that we heard from many people, that it was great to have the sort of research tool that we originally built, but that you all needed an enterprise-grade tool as well to really bring change into the world. And so you'll hear today about that, and you'll hear also about how we're fully committed still to ensuring that we also are supporting the research community as we have done with access to this tool at no cost, and including some new features that we're building specifically for you all in the research community to have an even more powerful platform at your fingertips. We're trying to really ensure that we invest in technology that supports all of the slices of pizza in the pizza of our community that Rebecca talked about this morning, all integrated into Google Cloud Platform so that you can take advantage of all the best that Google has to offer.
Keeping up with the rhythm from past years, you will hear about some latest additions to our rich public data catalog, as well as new capabilities we're building on the Stack Open standard. You'll hear about new features that are underway through this collaboration with the Cloud Platform team that will benefit all Earth Engine users, commercial and non-commercial. These new features will include better tools for managing and scaling large workloads, as well as better integrations with other Google tools. Next slide, please. The Earth Engine team today, again, going back to the theme of your input being really valuable, the Earth Engine team will share some very specific opportunities that they've identified and that they will explore over the next few months based upon what they've learned from this community. This team will also share ways for you to continue to participate and help us shape the future of Earth Engine. Finally, you will hear from our Environmental Insights Explorer team. This team develops climate insights, and they help cities understand their carbon footprints and take climate action. Like many of you in this room, the Environmental Insights team is trying to bridge the wide gap between data and insights and real change in the world. And this morning, I'm excited that they're going to share with you a few of the big lessons that they've learned over their journey of starting from an idea to going to first product launch in 2018 and to now scaling to many, many cities around the world. I know that many of you are trying to tackle similar challenges in your domains, and I'm hoping you can take advantage of some of the lessons that this team has learned.
All right, so that's a taste of what's coming up over the rest of this hour and to some degree the rest of this week. I just want to end by reiterating the message you've heard over and over. Please engage with us over the course of this week. There are Googlers all around you in the back, the folks you're seeing on stage. Share with us stories of what you're doing and how the tools could better empower you to make a difference in the world and get your work done. You know, our goal is to build the most helpful geospatial products to empower all of you to really rise to the challenge of this moment. So right now will be a series of talks from the product leads telling you about the news in each of those products. And it's going to start off with Google Earth. Are you ready to dive in? All right, let's do this.
Hello, everyone. I'm Patrik. I'm a product manager on Google Earth and My Maps.
And I'm Francisco, an engineer at Google Earth.
Over the past years, we've mapped large parts of the world in incredible detail. and made it accessible on your desktop, on your web device, and your mobile device. And as many of you know, geospatial data and insights are uniquely powerful tools as it comes to understanding and addressing environmental and humanitarian issues, like for crisis response, or for cultural preservation, or for environmental sustainability. And Hurricane Katrina in 2005 was our first ever geo-crisis response effort we did with Google Earth. And since then, we have seen Earth and MyMaps users continue to do amazing work in favor of society and the planet. And it's really inspiring us. We're seeing users use these products to monitor areas to detect and analyze climate change, to identify and evaluate clean energy proposals. So Earth is often used to help plan and evaluate locations for where to put solar and wind parks, helping to reduce megatons of CO2 around the world. Earth and MyMaps are also often used to help brief policymakers on impacts of climate change or the impacts of projects on local communities. We're also seeing Earth and MyMaps users working in conservation projects, restoring and protecting land, wetlands, and oceans. And lastly, like I just mentioned, crisis response. Earth and MyMaps users are responding to crisis and natural disasters all over the world, helping to save lives. And now I wanted to switch track to some recent product updates and improvements that can hopefully help contribute towards this amazing work. So we're going to start with Earth, and we're going to start with Earth Pro specifically. So as many of you know, Google Earth Pro is our no-code geospatial workbench, deeply embedded in many professional workflows still today. That's why we keep investing in and maintaining the platform. And Earth Pro has been downloaded more than 2 billion times since it was first launched. And over the past year, we've done more than 30 improvements and updates to the product, bug fixes. And I wanted to, such as multi-geometry editing, support for user-contributed Street View content, and better video export capabilities. And I just wanted to quickly highlight the new multi-geometry feature, which is a great, neat feature to help you stay organized and bundle KML objects and easily group KMLs in Earth. So now I'm going to hand it over to Francisco to talk a bit about what we're doing on Earth, on web, and mobile.
Thank you, Patrik. So as you may know, around 5 years ago, we launched our web and mobile versions of Earth, making it accessible on the most common platforms. We launched delightful features such as Voyager that allowed you to learn about the world, but also simple map-making tools with the ability to share them on the cloud to present linear narratives of the Earth. As we look ahead, we're working to make our web and mobile apps even more robust. We're updating our UIs to support richer, more advanced user journeys, and I want to give you a preview of where we're going. So first off, let's look at Google Earth Web. We're introducing a new productivity-forward layout with a flat UI hierarchy that makes it easier to add, select, and edit data. We're also introducing a new inspector panel that shows you all the information about a selected feature or the information we can surface about the base map, such as the cursor altitude or when the imagery was taken. We believe this new UI will unlock immense potential to add many new features that we've been wanting to add for a long time. For example, here you can see a sneak peek of the GLTF 3D models on Earth, which is still a work in progress. We've also upgraded our tech stack to improve our cross-platform technology. This will empower us to deliver more features faster and more reliably. This is why now, along with a fresh new UI, we're now able to make maps in the field. The mobile apps have support for GPS point recording and camera upload, which means you can now upload your photos and your location to your project easily. So you can now imagine being out there in the field and capturing visual data with your device while also collaborating with your colleagues back at the office that are using Earth Web or any device for that matter, and just updating your Google Drive project. Please note that these UIs are still under development, so we're not launching them today, but please come learn about them at the Geo for Good sessions we're hosting and try them hands-on. So now I'm going to hand it back to Patrik to talk about updates on MyMaps.
Thank you, thank you. So yeah, let's dive into some MyMaps updates as well. So if you don't know, MyMaps is our lightweight map-making tool that makes it really easy to quickly make maps, import sheets data, visualize it on the map, and share it with others. And over the past year, we've seen helpful maps from the map-making community, people, organizations, and governments that have been uniquely helpful. As an example, we saw a global map-making community come together in support of Ukraine, with many maps highlighting helpful local resources on how to support or how to donate to the Ukraine people. We've also seen an incredible amount of COVID maps from all over the world with helpful information on where to get tested, where to get vaccinated, or how to support vulnerable populations such as elders during lockdowns. We've also seen mind maps used a lot during crisis events such as wildfires and floodings to organize, to allocate resources, or to notify the public with critical information like evacuation orders or relief camps, fire perimeters, and other things. So now let's dive into some recent updates on mind maps as well. So a feature we just recently launched we're calling re-import and merge. And this will come in handy for anyone that's using sheets when they're mapping. And really useful if you're working with regularly updating databases like forms. This has also been one of the most commonly requested feature requests for mind maps in the past years, so we're super happy that we're finally getting this to users. So while you can already work with Sheets data in mind maps today, import a sheet, style it, attach photos, and so forth, if you wanted to do any changes to that data set, you would have to start over in mind maps. And that's not great, so we're changing that. So with this launch, once you've made changes in mind maps and you're updating your sheet, you can actually see that reflected on the map. So now you can actually merge, remove, replace, and match existing items in the sheet without losing any of your work. So this is going to be really a game changer for anyone working with Sheets data that updates over time, or for when merging multiple data sets like we're doing on screen here, where we're merging a data set of US boundaries and updating election data to create a dynamically updating election map. We've also added a few new personalization features. It's now possible to add your Google profile picture to a map when sharing it and then when embedding it, as well as styling the color of the embeds so you can better match brand elements on websites and so forth. And another small but very powerful feature that we added to mind maps is timestamps. So this really helps viewers understand what the data freshness is of the map, which you can imagine is critical when working under with crisis maps. We've also made a few small but useful improvements to mind maps interoperability with other software. So this is a features that we've been asked a lot about by users as well. Today, you can, of course, import CSV data into mind maps, but you haven't been able to export them until now. So now you can actually also export your mind maps and use them with other geospatial tools as well. We've also added support for WKT, which stands for well-known text, and this is a common text syntax to represent geometries like lines, points, and polygons, and so forth. The map I just showed you actually was a WKT US state border that was imported into mind maps. This makes the import functionality more useful in mind maps and more interoperable with other geospatial workflows. Lastly, mind maps users can now open their mind maps in Earth and view their maps in full 3D. This is really helpful to provide more context to your maps. Like, for instance, what's the slope like around that fire area? Or how tall is the area around my POIs? So once the map is loaded in Earth, you can use Earth's 3D measurement tools in context of your mind maps data. So please come to the Earth and mind map sessions this week at Geo for Good to learn more and try out some of these new features. And now I'm going to hand it over to Emily and Kristine to talk about Earth Engine.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm Emily Schechter. I'm a product manager on the Earth Engine team.
And I'm Kristine Kohlhepp. I'm a user experience researcher on the Earth Engine team.
And we're so excited to be here talking about Earth Engine today. So first, I'll go over what Earth Engine is. Then I'll talk about some launches, highlights, and announcements since last year's Geo for Good. And then I'll hand it over to Kristine to talk about what we've heard from you in user research sessions and some thoughts about what we're planning in response. Earth Engine is our cloud system for petabyte scale analysis of geospatial data with a vast archive of satellite imagery and other data sets. And equally importantly, it has freely accessible computation capacity to do analysis at that scale. We manage the data and computers so that you can focus on doing good science and translating that science into decision-making and impact in the real world. And we've seen so much impact in the decade since Earth Engine launched toward that goal. Earth Engine has grown in terms of the size of our system. The data catalog is now more than 70 petabytes with over 900 data sets. Earth Engine now processes more than 500 million CPU hours per year. We've grown in terms of the number of active users with more than 50,000 monthly actives. And all of those users are doing amazing things with those resources, as nearly 20,000 scientific papers have now been published referencing Earth Engine. And building on that foundation of scientific research created by our amazing ecosystem of academics and nonprofits, we realized that we had an opportunity to help bring that science to decision makers across governments and businesses, who would be enabled to make better decisions in sustainably managing the world's natural resources and minimizing the impact of climate change. And we hope that this would create a positive cycle of impact where more and better science meant more effective decision-making, and more science-backed decision-making meant the need for more and better academic research. So this is why we started on our journey to launch Earth Engine to businesses and governments. And we did so this year, becoming generally available as a commercial product through Google Cloud Platform just about 3 months ago. And this was a huge milestone, not only for our team, but for our product impact on the planet, because we could connect that cycle of impact to the governments and businesses that can use science to make decisions that positively impact the environment. And it's also a really huge milestone for the team. We've been working on it for many years, so congratulations to everyone involved. When Earth Engine became generally available, we made Earth Engine available to customers who contacted Google account teams through our website. And we're excited to announce that we'll be making signing up for Earth Engine much easier than before by making Earth Engine available through the self-serve flows that you see here. Earth Engine usage is now reflected in the billing and monitoring reports in Google Cloud Console. So here you can see examples of total and forecasted costs on the left, along with storage and compute usage on the right. And if your business is a startup, you can now leverage the Google for Startups Cloud program for Earth Engine. So this program is designed to give startups the resources they need to get started quickly on Google Cloud, including up to $100,000 in cloud credits, which can be applied to Earth Engine. For more than a decade, Earth Engine has enabled environmental analysis for nonprofits, research scientists, and other impact users, and we're committed to our ecosystem of non-commercial and research use. What you do is so critical to creating the science we need to drive environmental impact. Earth Engine will remain free of charge for non-commercial use and research projects, the same as it's been for over a decade. And we outline these policies on a new non-commercial page on our website to help clarify and underscore our commitment. And for a long time, we've been approving quota uplifts at no charge for impactful social and environmental projects done by our non-commercial and research users. And we're excited to be streamlining this uplifts program so that it's more clear for you to understand what to do if you need additional resources for an impact-aligned project. And you can check out pages in our developer guides for more information. So while our launch of Earth Engine to governments and businesses was really exciting to enable new types of impact, our engineering team was also busy improving the Earth Engine platform for everyone. So now I'll talk about some new data sets in our public data catalog, as well as new platform features that happened since last year's Geo for Good. We ingested many new data sets into our data catalog. I'll talk about a couple highlights from the past year. Landsat 9 is the newest Landsat satellite, launched about a year ago, and it continues the Landsat program's critical role in monitoring and understanding the land resources needed to sustain human life. Like Landsat 8, it has a higher imaging capacity than past Landsats, allowing around 1,400 scenes per day to be added to the Landsat Global Archive. We now have the full Landsat Collection 2, the second major reprocessing effort on the Landsat archive, which resulted in several data product improvements. And we also now have the USGS's digital elevation model at 1 meter from their 3D elevation program that's produced from high-resolution LiDAR. And speaking of LiDAR, we now have more data from JEDI, the Global Ecosystem Dynamics Investigation Mission. We have the Jedi L4B product that provides 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer estimates of mean above ground biomass density, and the L2A product for raster canopy top height. We're also excited that we're using Stack JSONnet as the source of truth for the Earth Engine data catalog. Stack, which stands for Spatiotemporal Asset Catalogs, are a catalog discovery spec that's becoming the standard across remote sensing communities. And JSONnet templates are one of the many ways to build Stack catalogs. In particular, dataset descriptions are very repetitive, so the templates help us to create multiple descriptions easily. We're using GitHub for this catalog, meaning users can more easily contribute to the catalog and see what's changing in the catalog in the GitHub commit history. And just a few months ago, we publicly launched Dynamic World, a 10-meter near real-time lane-covered dataset with class probabilities for 9 classes produced in partnership with the World Resources Institute. And there will also be a keynote on Dynamic World on day 3, as well as a couple other sessions throughout Geo for Good. So please check those out to learn more about what derivatives you can create using Dynamic World data. Moving on from data and over to our map visualization stack, I'm thrilled that we were able to launch feature views in May of this year. Feature views are a view-only accelerated visualization of an Earth Engine feature collection with more control over styling and rendering characteristics. Unlike a feature collection whose map tiles are generated on the fly, feature view tiles are pre-computed, which allows the tiles to begin transferring to the application immediately upon request. And in addition to creating your own feature view assets by exporting any feature collection, we also have feature view assets available for all vector datasets in our data catalog. So I'll mention a couple more highlights from our community before handing it over to Kristine. Earlier this year, we established a new Google Developer Experts category for Earth Engine to recognize those who are actively sharing their knowledge of Earth Engine and strengthening the community. We solicited nominations from the community to create an initial cohort of GDEs that represents the diversity of Earth Engine developers. So welcome to our first cohort of GDEs. We're so excited to have you aboard. Can all of you maybe stand up and wave a little bit? I'm also really excited about the forthcoming Earth Engine book. The purpose with this book was to create a reference that makes it as easy as possible to teach Earth Engine or learn about remote sensing with Earth Engine. And we know that many of you in the audience and listening online are actually authors in this book. So we're looking forward to reading your contributions on using Earth Engine from everything from forest monitoring, urban heat and air pollution, to agriculture and hydrologic mapping. And on Thursday morning, there's actually a breakout session about the book if you'd like to learn more. So now over to Kristine to talk about what we've heard from you on Earth Engine and what we're doing about it.
Thanks, Emily. Over the last year and a half, we've conducted multiple surveys and user studies to understand how you use Earth Engine and what we can do to help you achieve your goals and get things done on the platform. Thank you to everyone who took the time to participate. We really love learning from you and have been using this information to help determine what we work on. Through these studies, we learned a lot. From our study at last year's Geo for Good, we learned that Earth Engine is delivering value to the community. You appreciate having access to a large volume of data through the data catalog, and Earth Engine is allowing you to process larger amounts of data faster than you could before through access to Google's compute resources. Let's take a look at some data from last July's user survey. When we asked you what your primary reason was for coming to Earth Engine, 55% of survey respondents indicated that they use Earth Engine for professional or voluntary work. 43% of users indicated that they use Earth Engine for learning or education, and 3% for fun or leisure. Please note, this is based on the users that we were able to reach last July. They might have changed a little bit since then. But I wanted to point this out because within the professional and voluntary work categories are users who work in academia, nonprofits, government, and commercial settings. And so for the next few slides, I'll focus on these work users. According to the survey we conducted last July, 30% of our professional and voluntary work users focus on terrestrial and coastal ecosystems and conservation. 21% focus on agriculture, 17% on water, and 12% on disaster and crisis. There are great opportunities to engage on all of these topics at the conference this week. I know I'm really looking forward to the lightning talks to hear more about the incredible work you all are doing in these areas. Now, when we asked what you come to Earth Engine to do, 50% of work users indicated that they monitor changes to an area of interest. 47% said that classifying objects in areas of interest was a critical objective, and 36% indicated that modeling relationships between areas of interest was a critical objective. Understanding these goals and how you go about them helps us to determine what we need to do to support you in the product, which is why we're in the process of documenting and testing these journeys or workflows that are associated with these goals. Now, zooming in on impact, we were excited to see that 96% of our work users who were surveyed rated Earth Engine as critical to their work's impact. Empowering you to have real-world impact is why we do what we do, so we're continuing to think about how we can support you in your success. Now, we also heard that there are some opportunities to improve Earth Engine to better meet your needs. We heard you, and we've been actively considering how to address these needs as a team. I'll share a few examples. We heard from you that you're looking for a better way to monitor and manage your compute resources, including batch task management, and your costs if applicable. Emily just showed you the Google Cloud Console billing and monitoring reports. We're excited to launch this feature to help you monitor your compute and storage usage and costs. We're also actively investigating additional controls to help you in this area. You also told us that you need more machine learning capabilities to support your modeling workflows and allow you to do more advanced machine learning with Earth Engine. Machine learning is also an area that we're actively investigating, including running a user study this month to better understand your machine learning workflows and tools and how Earth Engine can better support you. And for those of you using Earth Engine with other Google Cloud services, you told us that there's an opportunity to make it easier and more efficient to use Earth Engine with other cloud tools like BigQuery. We agree. We want it to be a smooth experience using Earth Engine with other cloud tools like BigQuery and Vertex AI. So we're working to understand your workflows and how you use these tools together to identify better opportunities to integrate them. Know that we're not stopping here. We're excited to keep learning from users like you about the work you're doing and your needs and how you use the platform. I invite you to sign up for our user research participant database so that we can invite you to participate in studies aimed at improving Earth Engine's features, functionality, and ease of use. You can scan the QR code now. You can find it in the slides once they're posted on the Geo4Good website, or you can also look around for posters throughout the conference center this week. Also, I recommend that you keep an eye out in the product for an invitation to complete our annual user survey, which will come out in a few weeks. This is a great opportunity for us to keep a pulse on the community, so we'd love for you to fill it out, even if you participated last year, so we have the most accurate understanding of your needs. All right, with that, that's all that we have for you. Thank you for taking the time to listen about our product and updates, what we learned from you, and what we're doing with those learnings. We hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you at the Q&A, but first we'll hand it off to Saleem and Marisa to talk to you about Environmental Insights Explorer.
Wait, did you get the clicker?
I have the clicker.
We are the last of the product presentations.
Yes. I am Marisa. I'm a software engineer.
I am Saleem. I am a husband and father of 2 beautiful kids, and I'm a product manager here for the Environmental Insights Explorer.
Yes, and we are here to talk to you today about the Environmental Insights Explorer. Could we go back a slide?
I can just jump in.
All right, go for it.
So policy matters. Of all the many things that we do to really solve climate change, from consumers and decisions that we make as individuals to businesses and solutions they produce, policy is one of those key pieces that raises the tide for kind of everything else. And if we look at a UN report that says 2/3 of the global population will live in urban environments, the new 2.5 billion people are going to live in urban environments. The opportunity for cities is really large. And policy, from our experience, can take a variety of different avenues, from requirements like code changes to incentives like financial incentives to get technology built, to infrastructure changes from bike lanes to public transit, to convenings and building stakeholder groups in a community and really kind of escalating the need for policy. And all this really makes a difference, right? The changes on the ground help us as citizens take different actions. It helps businesses create new solutions. And it really creates the happy, healthy cities of the future.
And since we've seen that city policy makes a huge difference, we decided to make a tool to help cities expedite this process. It is called the Environmental Insights Explorer, or EIE for short. And it is a tool that helps cities basically make plans to decrease carbon emissions that come out of their cities. And another way of phrasing this is we help cities make carbon emissions inventories, so to understand where carbon emissions are coming from in their city and ultimately reduce those emissions. And we do this with 3 main data sets that I'm going to talk about. We have a couple more, but I'll just highlight these. The first one is transportation emissions data, which explains how people are traveling around the city and how many emissions that produces. We also have a building emissions data set, which uses Google Maps data to identify where the buildings are, how big they are, what type they are, how much energy they're probably using, and the carbon emissions that come out of that. And then another data set we also provide is the total solar rooftop potential of buildings inside of the city, so they can figure out how much energy could be clean energy and how many carbon emissions could be offset by using solar in their city. And just this year, we've had some really cool wins. We expanded our buildings coverage to 14,000 cities. We used to have just 1 year transportation emissions data. Now we have 4 for many cities. We also released a solar jobs calculator that helps cities understand how many jobs they could bring into their city if they push solar policy. And we also just launched a tree canopy map, which explains where the trees are in the city. And you can look up the Environmental Insights Explorer on Google. It is available publicly with some more data that's available privately.
So our target audience for this tool is city analysts, the people behind the scenes that are really doing the hard work of climate action planning at an urban scale. And providing the data that Marisa just talked about, it really helps our analysts set a baseline, really a starting point from which to take action. And providing globally consistent but locally relevant, actionable information then results in action plans. And what we've seen to date is hundreds of cities using our information for their official climate inventory. So this is information that they've accessed in the private EIE site. They use it, they adjust it as they need, and then they can publish it. But we've also seen really great examples where the data is used in action plans to create those ambitious goals and projects that are needed on the ground. From Houston setting a 5 million megawatt target by 2050 for solar installations and working in their community on energy equity issues, to Dublin, Ireland, using EIE bike information to understand the impact and the change over time with their bike infrastructure plans, to Cleveland, working with our buildings data to create deep decarbonization plans out with specific milestones at 2026 and 2030. So we're really excited about this. It really helps show that cities can use this information into their planning processes, and that's really where we're focusing going forward.
Yes, so that is the meat of what we are, and maybe a reminder for some of you. Now we have some really cool lessons that we've learned that we would love to share with you all so that you can hopefully make your own data and projects and work even more actionable and make a bigger difference. So, lesson number 1, everyone thinks they want all of the data. I have really great ideas of what data I think will make a difference. You have really great ideas. Other users of yours have really great ideas. And at the end of the day, we have this giant pile of really great ideas and not enough time. So we learned this lesson with COVID. Oh, not with COVID. We learned this lesson when we asked for user feedback. And lots of users were giving us so many different ideas. Some wanted to know where were the travel hotspots in their city. Some wanted to know when trash cans were outside of houses so that they could count the trash cans. And there were just like ideas all over the place, and we were like, okay, we need to step back and identify the one focused slice of data that will actually make a difference. So we identified that the problem we wanted to solve is making carbon emission inventories easier, and buildings and solar and transportation emissions were what Google could help with and had a big hand in emission reduction. And we identified how cities were making inventories, and we were able to turn that data into an aggregated form that they could just put into their inventories. So the lesson here is, rather than spend time on trying to answer everybody's question and give them all the data that they're requesting, step back and identify what their problem is and the data that will help them solve that problem.
So if you build it, they'll come, right? Well, it turns out EIE has to work with this, between that intersection of new data, new insights, and really bringing that out to our users, really making it actionable. And so what that really means for us is understanding that complete journey. What are the reasons that our users are going to adopt the data? What are the barriers to adoption? How do we raise awareness in the marketplace that we have this useful information? How do we simplify the purpose and actionability of the tool itself? And really, how do we build upon the underlying scientific work that many of you are working on to validate these insights and make it trustworthy and usable kind of off the shelf? So we work with a number of research organizations and city networks globally. Some of the ones that we're most proud of this last year are working with C40 and ICLEI, both global city networks. They both released validation reports citing the impact and usefulness for their cities of EIE data. And we've also had really great success working with consultants around the world that take EIE data, manipulate it, put it into a new format that answers the questions that our city users are asking their consultants for.
Lesson number 3, time to impact is slow. So even though your research paper might be done, your data's ready, your tool's ready, the users that actually make a difference with that data might not be ready. And this is what we ran into with COVID. We found that cities' #1 priority was to secure public health, which makes sense. Saving lives is important. So at that time, we learned that we had to be patient and wait for the opportunity for when people who could make a difference with our data were ready. So that is our advice to you. In the meantime, you can make your data more easy to understand and actionable. What we did is for our transportation emissions, we added a little toggle on the website. And when the user clicked it, it just divided the transportation emissions by 2. But this was a format that they were really, really familiar with. So users really loved the data after we added the toggle. And then when they found it, they just took it and ran. So waiting for that opportunity and making the data really ready for them was crucial.
And this stuff's hard. Climate change is kind of a hard problem globally. We started EIE 4 years ago with just data for a handful of cities. We worked with 4 cities. The next year, we expanded. We had data for hundreds more. We worked directly with 100 cities. And now 2 years later, as Rebecca mentioned in her keynote, and Marisa mentioned, we have data for 40,000 cities and different regional boundaries around the world. We have 4 years of transport data. And we're working with 1,000 cities that have come in, accessed their data, really looked at it, and started using it. But we know that it takes a big community, right? It takes all of us in the room. We have to find those other connection points, really to bring that data and insights all the way to action. And for EIE, we're still learning. We're still testing. We're still looking to improve. And I really think that we're still, have a long runway to go to really deeply understand and get to the big CO2 impacts, right? I'm really proud of what we've been able to accomplish, but there's still a long ways to go. And I really want to emphasize the key role that all of you play here in developing the new insights and new research and really the understanding of the impacts that are occurring in the world, but also charting the pathways forward, right? What is possible in the future, and really paint that picture, because then we can use that and put that into tools and make it and really help build that bridge to the individuals on the ground. So we're really excited to be here and to learn from all of you, and I hope all of you really enjoy this summit. Thank you.
Thank you.